YouTube. I hope all y'all are having a blessed day. It is a beautiful day here on the mountain. We are looking at some thunderheads. Maybe we'll get some rain. We did get a little bit of rain overnight. The chickens had a great time running around. The kittens are stalking the chickens to try and catch them, even though they are real tiny and the chickens are much bigger, but they have gusto. Don't mind my hair, it's a mess. I have two fans blowing on me because it has been brutally humid here the last few days. So luckily Sanjay is here and we were able to get the window air conditioners in. I do have exciting news. My good friend and subscriber and club member from Coffee, Kathy, is coming here the end of August for a playcation. And we are going to go thrifting and we are going to be sewing. She's bringing me a beautiful gift that I can't wait to show you all. She's driving 16 hours to be here. And folks, I feel so loved. I am just over the moon excited that I have a good friend and one that's willing to drive 16 hours to hang out with me for a few days. We are going to be doing all sorts of fun sewing. I'm planning on things like adding machine tape and crazy ducks or gaggles of geese, or maybe some coffee filters. I'm going to show her how to break down some thrift store fabrics. I do want to say, if you happen to see my nails in this video, I apologize. They are a mess. I have given up on the hopes of finding somebody locally, so I have taught myself how to do my own nails, but I am currently in between manicures. We are here today with our next little project, and this next little project is going to be the final, the last of the stuffed potato chip block. This is going to be block number 12, and I don't know what this block is called. I think I saw Donna Jordan put out a video with this block and I loved it so much, and I've been kind of doing chickens and duck themes recently. I'm calling this Flying Northeast. I have taken the liberty of doing the 4-inch block. There it is, and I just saw a mistake in the block, but it's going to stay there. Oops. We can go over the instructions. The 8-inch block starts here, and what I've done is I've taken these numbered steps up here and I've only copied them and put them down here if I needed to change a size. For the 8-inch block, we are going to cut a large half square triangle, and we're going to make a bunch of small half square triangles, and we're going to be making these all at once, 8 at a time half square triangles, and this is just your standard half square triangle. Okay, so we are going to be cutting one black and one white square that is 5 inches, and we're going to lay the squares right side together, mark a diagonal line on the white square. We're going to sew a 1/4 inch away from the diagonal line on both sides. We're going to cut down the marked line and we're going to press the seam allowance to the dark side. And then we're going to trim them to 2.5 inches. For the small half square triangles, we are going to, that's it, starts at B, so make 8 smaller half square triangles at once using the formula in the margin. And that is, cut a square equals finished half square triangle plus 1 inch times 2. So we need finished half square triangle of 4, and we are adding 1 inch leeway. We're not adding the 7/8 inch as you normally would, because that did not work for me. They were too small. So I changed the 7/8 to 1 inch, and then you multiply that by 2, and that's the size of the square that you are going to cut. And for this, it is 6 inches, and then we're going to follow the above. So let's see, B1. We're going to cut one black and one white square that is 6 inches, and then we are going to mark a grid as you see here. We're going to mark a grid on the diagonals. The blue lines are cut lines. The black lines are cut lines. On the black lines, you're going to sew a 1/4 inch away from both sides of those lines, and then you're going to return to the cutting table and you are going to cut this thing in half horizontally, in half vertically, and then in half on both diagonals, and that will give you 8 half square triangles, and you will put them together in this layout. The first square that I have to cut is 5-inch square, and I'm overshooting it just to be on the safe side. So we are just going to draw a line from corner to corner, and now we need to cut this square 6-inch. Like I said, if you have extra fabric, cut it larger, because it's real difficult and it's real painful to add fabric. It can be done, but it doesn't always look nice. If you can spare it, cut larger. It does not matter what size your initial square is, so long as it's square, you're okay, because we can always trim down half square triangles after we sew them together. So I'm cutting this to 7 inches just because I am very overheated and I don't want to make a mistake. I just have absolutely no brain function today. We are going to draw diagonal lines in both directions on the lighter square. So that's one direction. There's the other direction. So we're going to take these over to the sewing machine and we're going to sew them together. I have a 1/4-inch foot that has a plow on it. That's how it keeps things to a 1/4-inch seam allowance. So I am just putting that plow right on the line. I'm just going to town here. Turning it around, again putting the plow right on top of that center line. And now this one, we are going 1/4 inch away. Again, but we're sewing on both diagonals this time. All right, this is our half square triangle, the pair of them. And I'll take them over to the iron. I will iron them down to the dark side, and then I will trim them down to the size that we need. We have sewn a 1/4 inch away from both diagonals. So now we are going to cut on both diagonals and vertically and horizontally. And if you have a rotating cutting mat, it is most useful here. If not, I would suggest having a small one that will fit next to your sewing machine that you can pick up and rotate. That works too. So again, I cut this square large. I cut this 7 inch. So at 3.5 inch on the edge of my ruler, that will be the center line. And now we're going to again do 3.5 inch. If things move, just line them back up. Now we are going, go to the over to the iron. We're going to iron these things to the dark side, and then we're going to trim them down to our final dimensions. For the large block, this needs to be 4.5 inch unfinished, and these each need to be 2.5 unfinished. Okay, so finished, this is 4, and finished, this unit is 4. That's 2 inch, 2 inch, 4 inch, and that will give you the 8 inch. I'm going to lay it out, and just take your time laying it out, because I made a mistake on the other one, on the small ones. Just be patient and take your time. The black ones are all going northeast, and that is how it is going to go. So we're going to start by sewing our small pieces together. And I think it's more important to make sure everything is lined up correctly than to chain piece. So what I am doing is I am rolling my seams, and then I'm putting the pieces back where they belong. So I have another chance of sewing it together correctly rather than just making mistakes. Because Jesus knows I'm loaded with mistakes. So Sanjay left a bag of potatoes here quite a while ago, and they were all growing in the bags. So he told me to plant them. So I planted them in a planter on our deck, and it was just, you know, kind of a joke, thinking, you know, we're not going to get anything out of it. Well, yesterday he started digging in the big planter where we planted them, and that planter has tons and tons and tons of potatoes. He pulled up all but one plant, and we had 3 massive mixing bowls overflowing with potatoes, and that doesn't include the bowl of potatoes that he picked the other day that we used for dinner already. Okay, so that's how that goes. So now we're going to sew these together, and I did not iron my seam allowance, but that's okay. I can convince it to go in opposite directions. Okay, so nestle it together. If you feel a gap, you're not lined up. So there is that. Now we sew these two together. There's half of it, and now we'll do this one. Can't use my nails because I don't have any. And again, we're going to nestle our seams together, and they lock together for you. So everybody's headed to New York. I'm going to go iron this, and then we'll do our potato chips. So that is our block that I am calling Northeast. I have no idea if that is the proper name of it. And I am pretty near out of the scraps from that jelly roll. These are all I have left. So hopefully I have enough to make up a block that has variety in it. As a reminder, our 8.5 inch block gets 1 round of potato chips. That is 2 across the top, 2 across the bottom, and then 3 down each side. All right, here is the last side on the last block for the stuffed potato chip block series. And again, if you have any fullness on your block, you can lift the bottom up, and that will help the feed dogs and the presser foot take up the slack. Ta-da! Okay, let me give this a pressing and we will wrap this up. As you can see behind me, we have all of the 8-inch blocks. There's 11 there. And here is our very last one. I'm calling it Flying Northeast. And I love the way it looks. And again, I've just had so much fun with this series. And let me go put this one up on the wall. So there they are. There's all 12 of them. And as you can see, they look nice together. And they're very striking. And I really had a great time with this series. And this alone by itself would make a nice size baby quilt. And there's the 4-inch ones too. So you can mix and match them, or you can add other potato chip blocks in between. As you recall, I was mixing them with the X Marks the Spot potato chip blocks that I did a while back. And if you look on my channel in my playlist, you will see a playlist called Potato Chips. And in there, you will find the other potato chip block quilts that I've done. So the one in there was called X Marks the Spot. It was like a treasure map on the thumbnail. I was mixing it with these, and it kind of gave it kind of a Irish chain vibe, and it looked really nice. So I think what I will end up doing is I will be making the X Marks the Spot blocks and these blocks here, and I will be making probably 3 or 4 baby quilts out of it. You can see my birds here, and Mr. Rolly will be rolling across the screen to remind you to come over to Coffee and check me out. I've got a store over there, and I have several membership tiers that you can join for exclusive patterns and exclusive access to me. And I also invite you to join us over on Discord. We have a growing community over there. I'm working on new patterns. I have, if you can see in the very back of this, the chickens in the corner. I am going to be doing a border for that, and I'm thinking maybe paper piece squares, kind of wonky squares, because they're all triangles and there's plenty of triangles there already. So I was thinking of doing something like maybe on adding machine tape, where we can paper piece squares together and just have like diamonds on point. I have a pattern that I just launched last week, which is my Dizzy Duck March, and people have been enjoying it. I've already had some folks purchase it, and it's a bargain, and it makes a very, very quick quilt. You can do a quilt in an afternoon. So it works up very fast. Then I have another quilt pattern that will be coming out very soon. It is paper pieced mountains. This is a sample of one of the mountain blocks. We're going to have a couple of rows of these mountains that are paper pieced. You can see the patterns here, and we will also have some rhododendron flowers that is raw edge applique that will be going down the bottom, and it'll be a nice size wall quilt. You could of course add borders if you wanted to make it into a baby quilt or a larger wall quilt. I think that this would look nice maybe hanging on the back of a sofa or over a sofa, or if you have a day bed, it would look nice on that as well. I want to thank you all so very much for watching. I want to thank you all so much for subscribing and for leaving your wonderful comments that just make my day. I hope you have a very blessed day, a very blessed week ahead, and I'll see you right back here at 70 Acre Studio real soon with our next project. I love you all very, very much. God bless.
Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy.